Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Welcome to our second episode of Creature Features with Kevin Dungy from Little Ray's Nature Center at the Hamilton location. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, guys.
Thank you so much for being here with us again today. I know I'm really excited to see the animals you have to show us today. And just a reminder to everyone watching to pop your questions in the comment section from wherever you're watching, and we'll make sure to throw this into our conversation today with Kevin and get those answered for you. So I'm super pumped. Kevin, our theme today is predators, right?
Right.
Okay, so maybe let's start with figuring out what is a predator. So let's discuss sort of like, what is a predator?
So many different examples of predators out there. Generally, a predator is going to be an animal that hunts down another animal and eats it.
Okay, so...
Sometimes the predator often becomes the prey as well.
Right. So that's when we start to get into those like awesome vocabulary words like carnivore, omnivore, herbivore, and all that fun stuff. So that's really amazing. So would you say then that most predators are carnivores or omnivores?
Yeah, I would say most predators are definitely carnivores.
Are the ones that we're going to see today carnivores?
They sure are. And I have some pretty cool examples of some predators here today.
That's awesome. So for everyone at home, a carnivore is an animal that eats meat. So, okay, I know I'm excited to see the animals, so I'm sure everyone else is. Let's jump right in. And can you please show us your first predator?
Now, a little hint here today there, friends. The three animals that I'm going to be showing you are the largest of their group found on those continents. Okay? Cool. So the first animal, and you guys have to make sure you stick around to the end of this. We're going to do something extra special with the largest living reptile alive today. Okay, not the largest example, but the largest species of reptile that's alive today. But first, we're going to start in Africa. Okay, we're going to look at a lizard, and we're going to look at a Nile Monitor lizard. The Nile Monitor, guys, in Africa is the longest species of lizard on that entire continent. And you can find these guys throughout several different countries in Africa. Most of Central and South Africa, you can find Nile Monitors, but they'll even go all the way up into Egypt, as long as it's along the Nile River, because the Nile Monitors are very aquatic species of lizards. They do spend a lot of their time in the water, and you'll always, you'll never really find them in the deserty regions of Africa. You'll always find them around the water. And these are fantastic predators. And these guys would beat all different types of animals from different types of arthropods and snails and that sort of thing. Also fish and frogs and snakes. Even other smaller monitor lizards.
Wow, he's got like what looks like some really strong claws.
Now, not only are they great swimmers, they're fantastic climbers as well. So nice big claws on them. They can use those claws to climb into the trees. They also have a really, really long tail. And this tail, it can be used in the water as kind of like a rudder, helps them swim around, but it can also be used for defense. They can use it as kind of like if they're unable to get away, because if they're threatened by another bigger predator, they'll generally just kind of dive into the water and swim away, maybe dive under the water. But if they can't escape, this tail turns into an incredible weapon, and they can whip hard enough, to break the skin on a human.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. There's a comment in the chat here, Kevin, that says, it looks like a tegu, only the neck is longer. So can you tell us what a tegu is?
If my hands weren't full, I'd show you. But tegu lizards, guys, are their own group of lizards with a few different species of tegu. Tegus are found on the other side of the world from the Nile Monitor. Tegus are found in South America, okay? And tegus are more of an omnivore. So they eat a lot of plant material, fruits and that sort of thing as well. But when it comes to monitor lizards, all monitor lizards are carnivores. So they're not omnivores. They don't eat any type of plant material at all. They only eat meat, which would be other animals. And of course, Megan, you know, there's exceptions to every rule in nature. So when I say all monitor lizards, well, I mean, the gray tree monitor is actually one of the only lizards that eats pretty much only fruit. So it's very, very different from other monitors, which all eat meat.
Okay, so
but the tegus here, real quick, guys, with Convergent Evolution, there's something real cool about monitor lizards and tegu lizards, something that they share on opposite sides of the world. You can take a look and see if he's going to stick it out for us. Just like a snake, monitor lizards have this big, long, forked tongue, and they use that tongue in the exact same way that snakes do. It doesn't look like he's sticking it out for us right now, but that big, long, forked tongue, guys, is their main way that they smell, okay? Now, we obviously use our nose to smell. This guy does have a nose. He does have little nostrils there. But when that tongue comes out, and this is all monitor lizards, guys, and tegu lizards, when that tongue comes out, it picks up the air molecules. Can't really smell it just yet. And I mean, they don't really even have taste buds on their tongue. But once they pick up those air molecules on their tongue, the tongue comes back into their mouth. And on the roof of their mouth, there's an organ there called the Jacobson's organ. I mean, I like to say, and this isn't super scientific, but it's kind of like nostrils on the top of their mouth. Okay, it's a Jacobson's organ. Right. So they use that tongue to transfer the air molecules directly into that organ, which allows them to smell so much better than just using your nose. And I'll tell you guys, they can smell things from great distances away. I think when a Komodo dragon, I read something about Komodo dragons, which are the biggest monitor lizards in the world. Look at that tongue out. They've been known to smell a dead carcass, a dead animal, 11 kilometers away. Wow. I don't know if you can imagine smelling something 11 kilometers away. That would be pretty gross to me, because then you can smell everything in between too, and there's some not such pleasant smells out there.
I can imagine.
He's flipping that tongue out just like a snake tongue, guys. That's something that you'll see on all monitor lizards. Something super cool about these guys.
So, Kevin, you use a very cool scientific word called convergent evolution. So, really quickly, for everyone watching, convergent evolution is basically when you see similar traits in animals that evolve over time in completely separate areas that they've never crossed. They don't share a common ancestor, and yet they have very similar traits. So, that's kind of what that means.
So cool. It's so cool. Isn't it?
Oh, cool. And I'm sure we could sit here and do like a whole Facebook Live on all the examples. But there are a couple of questions in the chat that I think we could get to. So one of the questions is there a reason they're called monitor lizards? Do we know where that name comes from? Or is it just like...
I mean, that is hard to say. Who knows where that name came from? The only thing that I'm thinking of is that, I mean, Nile monitors are a major problem to Nile crocodiles, okay? Oh. And you wouldn't really think so, because the Nile crocodile, I mean, gets to be gigantic. It would be way bigger than a Nile monitor. A Nile monitor would be more like prey to a Nile crocodile. But the Nile monitors will actually, like, they'll go into the crocodile's nests and feed on the crocodile's eggs. So that's a big part of these guys' diets is the eggs, and specifically crocodile eggs. So I think there were some people that were saying that if you see Nile monitors around, you want to be careful, because they're probably looking for Nile crocodile eggs. Hey. And if there's Nile crocodiles eggs, there's Nile crocodiles around. And Nile crocodiles are extremely dangerous to humans. Hey. So perhaps they were kind of like monitoring the area, monitoring monitoring the lizards, watching out for the crocodile. That's my guess.
Absolutely, and that makes a lot of sense because being like a top predators tend to be kind of indicative of what is happening in an ecosystem, right? So it helps us monitor the ecosystem as well. When you have a healthy population of predators, you generally have a healthy population all around, right?
Exactly. And just imagine removing one species out of that ecosystem. Removing Nile monitors out of Africa, for example, would absolutely affect all other species, bigger and smaller, throughout the entire continent of Africa. All species play their very important role in nature and the circle of life.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a question from Clark, and he would like to know if, I guess, Nile monitors are closely related to alligators.
So that's not true. They're not related to alligators or other crocodilians at all. Snakes and lizards are the only way that lizards and crocodilians are related is that they're all reptiles.
Okay.
So then we'll break down reptiles into four main groups, which is the crocodilians. We have turtles and tortoises. We have snakes and lizards, so it's squamates, and then tuataras. Okay. But crocodilians, guys, I'll tell you that a lizard is like almost like a snake with legs. They're in the same group. They're in the same order. They're very, very, very similar animals. Okay. An alligator or a crocodile, and this might be kind of funny to understand, but it's something super, super, super interesting to me. But a crocodile is more closely related to a bird than it is to a lizard or a snake or a turtle. And you want me to just quickly go into that?
You know what? Let's save it.
I love talking about that, but I'll just go off.
Let's save it for later.
Let's do archosaurs one time. Let's talk about archosaurs.
Good idea. I'm going to write that down for sure.
But for now, lizards are not related to crocodilians other than being in the reptile family.
Okay. So thank you so much, Kevin. That was a great answer.
He's awesome, isn't he?
He's so great. We actually have another question, and this is from the Manotick. This is from Manotick, Ontario, which is close to you guys.
We know Manotick.
Actually, no, it's close to the Ottawa, right? Yeah. And so it says, my kindergarten class would like to know why they use their tongue to smell. Why not use their nose?
Well, just like I was saying earlier, I mean, let's see here. I'll give you a perfect example, but I'm going to put the lizard down for a second, okay? Let's say bye. Bye, Smoke. Okay. Because I can do this way better using my hands, okay? So now let's say I have a bowl of chocolate pudding. And I don't know if our friends out there love chocolate pudding as much as I do. I love chocolate pudding, okay? So if I take a bowl of chocolate pudding and I smell it with my nose, okay? Smells good. It smells like chocolate pudding. Okay, I can smell it pretty good. But now what happens if I take my lizard tongue or my snake tongue, I put it into the chocolate pudding and then up into my nose? Okay, into the chocolate pudding, into my nose. Into the chocolate pudding, into my nose. Am I going to smell the chocolate pudding better that way? Yes or no? I think if I was to do that, I'd probably be smelling chocolate pudding for the next week or so. But it's just by transferring those air molecules from the air directly into the nose. It's like kind of like they're picking up the air and putting it right in there, allows them to be able to smell. And they can smell with their nose also. But by using that tongue, they're able to smell so much better. But for our young friends out there, friends, guys, I'll tell you what, if you are unable to smell, okay, like if we have a cold and our nose is all kind of plugged up, we won't be able to taste either, because our smell is really, really connected with our sense of taste.
Right.
So without smelling, we can't taste either, right? I hope that makes sense to our friends out there.
That was excellent. That makes a lot of sense. And I didn't know that you love chocolate. That's really funny. We got another question from Penny, but I think I'm going to actually save it because it sort of goes along with that alligator question that we got earlier. So Penny, if you're still watching, stick around to the end because yeah, it'll make so much sense a little bit later because Kevin has a great surprise for us. Okay.
You want to see something else?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking how snakes and lizards are very closely related. So we're going to take a look at a snake this time, but we're going to move over to our side of the world and go down into South America. While I'm grabbing it, I wonder if anybody out there knows what's the biggest species of snake found in the Americas. So our whole side of the world there, guys, okay?
Okay.
South America.
If you...
the biggest species of snake, and we'll see if anybody's going to guess it before I actually
Yeah.
bring it. I'll give you a hint. His name's Mr. James.
Ooh, if you guys know, if anyone watching has an idea of what the biggest snake in the Americas is, pop it into the chat and we'll see if you can guess what that is. Ooh, I'm excited. Oh, we have some people guessing.
Yeah?
Yeah, and they are correct.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. Wow.
This guy is, and he's anywhere near the size that he will reach eventually. This is a small green anaconda. Not only is it the biggest snake on this side of the world, the biggest species of snake on this side of the world, it's also one of the most famous snakes in the world as well. They even made movies about them. I think everybody's heard of an anaconda before. And this guy is specifically a green anaconda, okay? And then there's three other species of anaconda as well. But all in South America.
Those
are credited. He's going to get heavy for me pretty soon too. But I'll tell you, these guys are credited with being the heaviest species of snake that's lived in our time. Okay, so we're not talking about extinct species like the Titanoboa. I'm sure some young people out there know the Titanoboa, an incredible species of snake that lived millions of years ago. But today, the heaviest snake on the planet would definitely be the green anaconda. Now, something super cool. Let's see if we can get up close here. How's the video today? How's the video quality today?
Beautiful. I hope everyone else is seeing how great it is.
I love that. I love my new phone, and my 5G connection. So it's hard to see here, guys, but his eyes are right on the top of his head. Okay?
Yep.
Any guesses why his eyes would be on the top of his head rather than on the side of his head? His nostrils are right there in the front. Now, these guys being very, very aquatic, they spend almost all of their time in the water. They'll submerge completely, except for those little eyes and that little nose sticking out so they can see, and so that they can see and breathe, obviously. And they're more kind of like an ambush hunter. So they're not going to, even though they're a predator, they don't chase their prey down. They just kind of sit and wait. And sometimes they'll sit for days, even weeks, waiting for something to come close enough, not recognize that the snake is there. And that's when the predator will lunge out, grab that prey with their mouth. Okay, obviously with the snake, they're going to grab it with their mouth. And then while they're holding that prey in their mouth, they wrap their body around it and begin to squeeze the prey. Okay, we call that squeezing constriction.
Right.
Okay, and a lot of different snakes are constrictors out there, guys, including Canadian snakes that squeeze their food before they eat it. It's just probably the best way, if you're not a venomous snake, it's probably the best way to get your prey ready to eat. Okay, I mean, there are a few types of snakes. Like we have the venomous snakes as well. Obviously, bite and inject the venom, they're going to take down their prey that way. But there's a few species of snake, guys, that, including super cool snakes here in Canada, garter snakes. Okay?
Yes.
they don't constrict. They don't squeeze. They don't wrap around their prey. They don't have true venom glands. They don't have fangs in the front of their mouth that they're injecting venom with. Okay. So let's say, for example, a garter snake grabs a toad. Okay. Doesn't wrap around the toad. He just kind of starts immediately. Here's the toad. Here's the snake. The snake will come grab the toad, and the toad's like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on?" And the snake just starts eating it and overpowering it.
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't constrict, it doesn't inject venom, it overpowers its prey. It just pretty much eats it alive. Now,
Absolutely.
we're going to get into the whole juvenile square and everything here today with the garter snake.
We do. We have a garter snake here at Science North. We also have water snakes that do the same. But then, of course, many of our snakes are constrictors, like the anaconda as well. So we have a little bit of everything. We also have a venomous snake. So yeah, absolutely. He's or she is super beautiful. I love the coloring, that green and the yellows. Does that help camouflage at all, Kevin?
Pardon me?
Do those colors and the patterns help them camouflage at all?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely helps camouflage in the jungles of South America. And I'll tell you, these spots, all of these spots on his body or on an anaconda's body are just like fingerprints on people. They're all different. They all have their own pattern. And you'll see a little bit of a different pattern with the other species of anacondas, like the yellow anacondas, for example, or the Bolivian anaconda even. But I don't know why these guys have such a bad name. It's such a beautiful animal. It's such an incredible part of that ecosystem down there. But these guys, I mean, as a predator, these guys take down some pretty large prey as well.
Right.
Very, very, very big prey. Like capybaras, for example.
Right, the largest rodent, right?
Capybara, the biggest rodents in the world. It looks kind of like a giant, and I mean giant, kind of a giant guinea pig. Or tapirs they can take down as well. Wild pigs, all kinds of stuff that these guys can eat. But do anacondas eat people? Nah, we're not part of their diet. Unless you're in the movies, eh?
We have a really great question, actually a few of really great questions in here. So one of them is, do anacondas have any predators?
For anacondas, when the anacondas are babies, they could have predators. For example, I mean, there's a lot of different animals, from just even like turtles or birds of prey, for example. Other mammals like a raccoon or a fox coatamundi. But once they're bigger, it's pretty much just people. They don't want them around their homes, their families. They do often still get used for the skin. But I mean, jaguars would be able to take down an anaconda. But I mean, depending on the size of the anaconda, in that case, the predator could again become the prey, where the jaguar realizes, oh my goodness gracious, I thought I was the predator, but I think maybe this was a bit of a mistake. It becomes the prey.
There's another question here that from Bruce, and he would like to know how you would tell the difference between a snake and a lizard.
Yeah, that's a really good question. But I mean, lizards have legs and snakes don't, right?
What about legless lizards, Kevin?
No, that's just a joke. That's just a joke, because I know you know the answer to this. You gotta let me do this, okay?
Oh, so
I'm not going far. I'm still right here. I hope you guys can hear me still. I'm just not far. Right over here. And this is way better way.
Oh, I have a feeling I know what Kevin is getting, everyone.
Hey, I'm sorry. That's
awesome.
Okay? Look it. Okay, now take a look at this guy. I'm going to try to put his whole body through the camera. Okay, take a look at the face.
Yeah.
We're going to go all the way down his body. And you guys notice he has no legs anywhere at all on this body.
Right.
So some people would be like, oh my gosh, well then it's got to be a snake. I mean, it's a reptile that doesn't have any legs. But this, guys, is just one species of legless lizard. This is a European legless lizard. So, and there's a lot of lizards that don't have legs out there. A lot of species of legless lizards, including in North America. So if it doesn't have anything to do really with their legs, then really how do you tell the difference, okay? Now we're going to come a lot closer here. And you'll notice that that head, okay, that skull structure doesn't really look like a snake's skull at all. But if we take an even closer look at his eye, you'll notice every once in a while, he can blink his eye. Now, that's something that you'll never see any snake in the world ever do, because snakes do not have eyelids. Every day he just blinked for us there.
Just did it, yeah.
They don't have eyelids, guys, okay? Where a lot of lizards, not all, but a lot of lizards do. And then if we take a look, hopefully my camera's going to last stick. Oh, there, perfect. Can you guys see that hole there on the side of his head?
We can.
See that? Now, why would he have a hole on the side of his head? Okay? Let's say I have a hole on the side of my head and I put my finger in there. It's my ear, okay? And now this guy would look funny, flat the ears like this, obviously.
Right.
But those little holes there, guys, those are his ears, his ear opening. Something else that you will never see on any species of snake whatsoever. Now, there's other ways to tell. I mean, you can see kind of the dividing line between his top and his bottom there. But generally, guys, the eyes and the ear openings are a great way to tell the difference. So if it's a lizard, they will either have ear openings, or eyelids, or both. Okay, not always both. Sometimes it's one or the other.
Awesome.
We were planning for this, but how?
Thank you for showing us.
Hey, what a great example of showing the difference between the snake and the lizard, right?
Absolutely.
Anaconda's getting away.
So there is another question here, Kevin, but I can go ahead and answer that one because it has to deal with a French terminology. And I don't mind answer that one, but I'm just wondering, is this a good time to maybe prep for the last animal while I answer?
Am I going to stay on screen though?
If you want to, stay on screen, get ready, and I'll
walk over to Bindi.
Perfect.
Okay, the largest reptile in the world. Not this exact example, but this species. Largest reptiles in the world.
Awesome. Okay, so while Kevin is getting that ready, I will go ahead and answer one of these questions from Michelle. And Michelle wants to know what the difference between une couleuvre and a serpent in French is, and if there's an equivalent term for couleuvre in English. So couleuvre is a very common word that we use for a snake. And now the reason there are sort of two different words in English and in French is because we tend to refer to couleuvres as small snakes that are in the colubrid family. So the colubrid or Colubridae family of snakes is a very big family of snakes, and many of the snakes that we have in Ontario and Canada fall in that category. So our garter snake, for example, is one of them, and so we tend to use the term couleuvre in for smaller snakes, and serpent can be used for any snake. It's just it doesn't really matter. A snake, serpent would be the literal translation in French, but technically you could differentiate them by saying our serpent is a snake that is either like a venomous snake, like a cobra, or a rattlesnake or something like that, or a big boa or a big python. You could also use the word serpent, whereas you wouldn't really use couleuvre for that particular difference between the two. So, and there's actually a comment in here that says that it's the same in Portuguese, which is very cool. So, and that's one thing that's really neat about scientific words for animals, is that they are often taken, French words for animals are often taken from the Latin or scientific words, which is really amazing. So, okay, Kevin, I answered the question. I hope that was clear, and we are all very excited for your last animal.
Hey, you want to see something super cool?
Yes.
So, not only is this super cool, this is a pretty cool story as well. And I don't know if I can, I don't know if I can actually turn my camera around here. I should be able to do this. I don't see a way to do it, so that's okay. We're just gonna go for a walk with me. We're just gonna go for a little walk through the theater.
And we get to see this view while you're at it, which is amazing.
Exactly. Okay. Just gonna kind of go down this way. This is some of our big retics here.
Wow.
Okay.
Reticulated pythons, right?
Yes, sorry, reticulated pythons, yes.
Cool.
We got Florence there, our green anaconda. But we're gonna go over here. And I wish I could switch this video, but I just don't know how, so that's okay. We're gonna do it like this. Now listen, this guys is Bindi. Bindi is a female saltwater crocodile. I named her after Bindi Irwin, whose daddy was my hero, and I hope one day to meet Bindi. But Bindi here, guys, this saltwater crocodile used to live in Alberta, and she lived at Reptile World in Drumheller, Alberta. And unfortunately, Reptile World closed, I guess 6 years ago now, back in 2015. And we got the call from the SPCA to go out there. So I know little Ray went out there himself and packed up some of these animals, including Bindi here. And ever since she's come to us, guys, we've been trying to find a forever home for her. Okay. I'll tell you, little Rays, guys, we're the only ones in Canada that have ever moved crocodilians out of the country. And we've moved, I mean, I don't even know how many it is now, like 60 crocodilians out of Canada, rescued crocodilians in Canada, getting them out of Canada into outdoor sanctuaries around the world where they get to live outside year round, not in little indoor habitats like this. So I know this is a smaller habitat, guys, but we're making sure that all of her needs are met. She's got a great enrichment program. And hopefully we'll be able to find
about enrichment, Kevin.
We'll hopefully find a forever home for her here one day. But does anybody want to see her eat?
Yes, I will speak, I think, for everyone.
Okay, so we're going to see if we can...
Quickly, actually, Kevin, there's a question. Do you... Oh, I hope we didn't lose Kevin. Okay, while we try and figure out whether or not we've lost Kevin, I hope you guys are having a great time. Again, if you do have any more questions, feel free to pop them in. And there he's back.
See, that was kind of like, we have to go like this. Like this. It's going to be kind of... Hey, everybody say it. Hi, Amanda.
Hi,
Amanda. Amanda's our curator here. And we're going to focus on Bindi right now, because I'm telling you guys that I'm not going to go in there. She outweighs me by a little bit. She's a little bit dangerous, to say the least. So I don't feed her when I'm in there. I'm going to be feeding her from over top of the wall.
Right.
So I need a ladder to get up there. And as soon as she sees this ladder, she knows what's going on. They're incredibly smart animals. I compare their intelligence to like that of about I'd say a dog or so. So she knows what the ladder means, and we're going to see some action. I'm just going to go grab the ladder.
Oh, there she goes.
So you can tell that she knows exactly what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're going to see what kind of height she can get. And when they're babies, when they're younger and smaller, they can actually launch themselves. If there's like monkeys in the trees, for example, they can launch their entire body out of the water and up into the tree to grab those monkeys. So we're going to see how much distance we can get from here today. And before I do this, I am going to tell you that she's a predator. Okay, she is a carnivore. She's not going to be. I'm not feeding her pizza right now or chicken fingers. There, guys. We're going to feed her other whole animals.
Okay.
We're going to feed her some rats.
Okay.
So before I do this, I love rats too. I think they're super cute. I've had lots of rat pets. These are not live rats. Okay. These rats just come to us frozen. We thaw them out, and then we'll feed the thawed prey to the animal. But we do not euthanize them here, guys. They just come to us frozen, and I mean, you can't feed them salad. So we're going to feed her a couple of rats here, and they're smart enough to know. They're smart enough to take basic commands as well. Okay, so when we whistle for all of our crocodilians, and that lets them know that it's feeding time, and we're going to feed them. Looks like it's hungry.
Wow.
So if I was to go in there, and I'll tell you when I have to change the water, we'll drain this down, and I can position her as well. She's smart enough that I can say, go in this corner. She'll go nose right into that corner, and I'll go in there and clean it and stuff, and then get her to position to the opposite corner, and then I can clean that side.
Right.
So when I'm doing that, I'm not whistling.
Right. So the whistle is an important part of her feeding structure, right?
Exactly. It's the communication that we use to let them know that it's feeding time. So I got one more. We're going to do one more here, guys, okay?
Okay. You can really see the power of her tail as she's like coming up out of the water there. That was incredible. That was incredible. Wonderful. And she just swallows that food down whole. She doesn't chew it at all.
I hope that. I don't know. I really hope that was cool for you guys.
Very.
For me, it's cool every single time. Every single time. It never, ever gets old for me.
We have a few questions, Kevin. One of them is, how much does Bindi weigh?
You know what? I haven't weighed her she hasn't been weighed in quite a while, just because, I mean, to weigh her, I can't just say like a dog here, can you go stand on the scale? She does have to be tubed, for example. Okay. So we could get her to we could get her walk into a great big tube like this, and then we can close it off for her safety. But if it's not necessary, we don't want to do anything that just, I mean, but I'll tell you, I would take a guess that she's around 200 pounds right now.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, that's small for a saltwater crocodile. For a big boy salty in northern Australia or throughout Indonesia or whatever, they can reach over 1,000 pounds.
Right.
They're gigantic, over 2,000 pounds. 2,000 pounds, guys. Massively, gigantically huge reptiles. Amazing. And absolutely, just such a beautiful, beautiful animal.
Awesome. There's another question here, Kevin. And is Bindi in salt water?
No, she's not in salt water. That's an excellent question, because I'll tell you that that saltwater crocodiles do get their name because they have been found like in the oceans and stuff like that. They can go a pretty far distance out into the open ocean, but they really can't survive out there. Okay. You're gonna find they do have specialized salt glands that will expel the salt from their body. But other crocodilians, like an American alligator, they can't really survive in salt water at all. And then crocodiles, they can survive, but not forever. Okay, you're gonna usually find saltwater crocodiles in estuaries. Okay, so in like brackish water, kind of like where the freshwater rivers are running into the ocean, the fresh water, the salt water mixes, becomes that brackish water. That's really the best That's really the best for them.
Right.
But it's not necessary. They don't need the salt water, and too much salt water would not be good for them.
Okay. So I actually went to Australia a couple of years ago.
You
3
did?
years. I did,
I
yeah.
didn't know
And
that.
I just remember seeing like the signs everywhere I went where it said like, this looks like a great swimming spot, folks, but don't swim here because there could be saltwater crocodiles. And it was just like this really interesting sort of like, wow, I can't swim here because it's a predator.
And you know, that's a funny thing. Like I was just thinking about that. Like if you go to Florida, for example, like alligators are guys, alligators are everywhere. Okay, alligators are literally around where people live, but they tend to leave people alone. We're not part of their food.
Right.
We're not part of their diet. They don't want anything to do with us. Now, saltwater crocodiles, on the other hand, is not something you would want around a human population. Especially the big males, they tend to be a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more territorial even than other species of crocodilian. And that is what most interactions with salties and humans are, is territorial. And people do often survive those. Okay, yeah. The crocodile's not trying to eat them or anything. It's just territorial. It's just saying, get out of here. Now, the other half that doesn't survive, that is part of the food chain there.
But you know what?
Unfortunately, they do eat people sometimes. Really rarely, though, guys. In Australia, it's like 1-2 people a year that interact with a salty. Not a lot.
But you know, that's an important message, I think, when considering predators and living around predators, and that, and even here in Canada, you know, like that's why it's important not to feed wildlife in certain situations, because when you encourage them to stay around humans, that's when you get those conflicts. So it would be similarly with any predator, right? If you leave your fish guts by the water, then crocodiles and other predators know exactly where to go. And it's the same thing if you leave your scraps of food outside, you may get foxes, wolves, coyotes in your backyard, and that could cause a conflict as well. So
they learn, they remember, right?
They remember, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so to finish off our day, I think it's important that we go back to those questions that we got earlier with in terms of the, you know, are lizards and crocodiles or lizards and alligators related? But the other question that we got that was sort of related, and I think that we should do our Archosaur episode at some point, Kevin, because I think that would be really cool. But
I would love that.
Penny was asking about a 4-chambered heart or a 2-chambered heart versus a 3-chambered heart. And that was a brilliant question because, of course, many animals do not have a 4-chambered heart the way that ours is, where our oxygenated blood and our deoxygenated blood, so our blood that's carrying oxygen and the blood that's not carrying oxygen, actually don't mix together. But that's not the case for many reptiles, right, Kevin?
I mean, what an interesting thing to talk about, okay? When it comes to reptiles, you're right, guys. Reptiles, absolutely, we're going to get into the Archosaur talk here eventually. But I tell you, when it comes to reptiles, their friends, snakes and lizards, turtles and tortoises, okay, they have a 3-chambered heart, okay? So the oxygenated blood does mix with the deoxygenated blood. It's not completely separate, which is part of the reason they don't have the amount of energy that a mammal has with a 4-chambered heart. Right. Now, when it comes to crocodilians, though, guys, alligators, crocodiles, caimans, and gargoyles, and crocodilians have a true 4-chambered heart. They do, guys. They're the only group of reptiles that have a 4-chambered heart. And what else has a 4-chambered heart? Very, very closely related to crocodilians, birds. Birds also have a 4-chambered heart, guys. And I mean, that's just one. That's one. We're going to save the Archosaur talk for another time. That's one similarity between crocodilians and birds. And make sure you tune in next time, guys, when we can hopefully talk about Archosaurs. And I'll tell you a whole bunch of similarities and what makes crocodilians and birds. What makes a crocodile more like a bird than it is than a snake or a lizard or a turtle or anything else. But before I let you go, Megan, because I know I'm running out of time here, when it comes to monitor lizards, okay, the monitor lizards, now they don't have a 4-chambered heart. They have a 3-chambered heart, but there is like a I'm forgetting what it's called. There's a flap.
Yes. Yeah.
Can
Like the valve.
the flap. That's what?
The valves.
It'll actually, like when they're using a lot of energy, this flap can actually like kind of flip. It separates the oxygenated blood from the deoxygenated blood. So it's not a true four-chambered heart. We can call it like an imperfect four-chamber heart when they need that energy. And I mean, that's just something super, super cool and quick about monitor lizards. Since we got that there.
That is so neat. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. So Kevin, thank you so much for showing us these amazing predators today. I thought that was amazing. I really hope everyone watching today had as much fun as I did. That was so much fun. And thank you so much, Kevin.
That's my absolute pleasure. Thanks to Science North. And I really look forward to next time.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely going to have a next time, I think. This was so much fun. And again, thank you to everyone watching and for asking such amazing questions. That was awesome. And until next time, I hope everyone stays safe. I hope that everyone is having a great, fantastic Friday. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Bye, friends. Bye, May.
Bye, Kevin.